In the grim chapters of human history, very few places inspire as much horror and disgust as Auschwitz, the notorious Nazi concentration camp that operated between 1940 and 1945. Situated in southern Poland, Auschwitz was the largest complex of its kind, made up of 3 primary sections: Auschwitz I, Auschwitz II-Birkenau, and Auschwitz III-Monowitz. It was at Auschwitz II-Birkenau that most of the camp's estimated 1.1 million victims, predominantly Jewish people, were murdered in gas chambers. Within the barbed wire confines of the camp, unspeakable crimes took place, among them the chilling medical experiments carried out in Block 10. Block 10 functioned as a designated area where Nazi physicians conducted cruel and inhumane experiments on defenseless prisoners. One of the leading figures behind these atrocities was Dr. Karl Clauberg, who began his work there in April 1943. His primary objective was to develop a quick and inexpensive method for mass sterilization. To achieve this, he subjected hundreds of Jewish women to agonizing procedures, injecting caustic chemicals such as formalin, phenol, and nitric acid directly into their uteruses. These experiments caused extreme pain, severe infections, and often death. What made Clauberg's actions even more brutal was that he frequently performed these procedures without anesthesia, leaving his victims fully conscious and screaming in agony. In a letter dated June 7, 1943, addressed to SS leader Heinrich Himmler, Clauberg proudly claimed that his non-surgical sterilization technique was nearly perfected. He asserted that if his research continued to progress as it had, a single trained physician, assisted by 10 staff members and equipped with proper facilities, could sterilize hundreds or even up to 1,000 women in a single day. Another infamous doctor in Block 10 was Dr. Horst Schumann, who conducted harsh experiments involving castration and the use of X-rays. He exposed prisoners' reproductive organs to high levels of radiation, resulting in severe burns, disfigurement, and permanent sterility. Many victims succumbed to prolonged and painful deaths due to radiation poisoning. Schumann focused particularly on Roma, Gypsy prisoners, whom the Nazis labeled as asocial and targeted for extermination. In one tragic case, a Roma woman named Dina was subjected to radiation experiments that left her unable to walk before she was ultimately killed in the gas chambers. Beyond Block 10, other experiments carried out across Auschwitz were equally horrifying. These included high-altitude tests using decompression chambers, where prisoners were exposed to sudden pressure changes to simulate conditions experienced by Luftwaffe pilots. Freezing experiments led by Dr. Sigmund Rascher subjected prisoners to extremely low temperatures to determine the limits of human endurance. Additional trials involved testing experimental drugs and chemicals, including sulfanilamide, and deliberately inflicting phosphorus burns on prisoners' skin and internal organs. The cries of those suffering echoed relentlessly through the halls. Stanislawa Lesksinska, a Polish midwife imprisoned at Auschwitz, later recounted the constant suffering she witnessed. She described how the anguished cries of women in pain and the moans of those unconscious haunted her day and night. Forced to assist in childbirth for pregnant prisoners, many of whom were later subjected to experiments, she remained devoted to saving lives whenever possible. Reflecting on her experience, she stated, "Every child must be saved. That was my goal." Other experiments in Block 10 involved testing various poisons and gases, intentionally infecting prisoners with diseases such as typhus and malaria, and exposing them to extreme environmental conditions. Nazi doctors treated their victims as expendable test subjects, driven by distorted and pseudo-scientific ambitions. One particularly cruel method involved freezing prisoners and then attempting to revive them through techniques such as immersion in hot water. Many died during these procedures, their bodies later discarded in mass graves. Among the most notorious figures associated with Auschwitz was Dr. Josef Mengele, often referred to as the Angel of Death. He was especially known for his obsession with twins. Mengele conducted disturbing experiments, including injecting dyes into children's eyes in an attempt to alter their color, and even attempting to surgically join twins together to create conjoined bodies. Most of these children did not survive. His work was fueled by a warped fascination with genetics and a desire to advance the so-called Aryan race. In a 1985 interview with the German magazine Bund, Mengel's son Rolf remarked that his father had been entirely consumed by his belief in science, convinced that his actions were justified and beneficial to humanity. In one particularly horrific incident, Mengele reportedly killed 14 twins in a single night by injecting chloroform directly into their hearts, further cementing his terrifying reputation. The exact number of victims subjected to experiments in Block 10 remains uncertain, but estimates range from several hundred to a few thousand. Most were Jewish women, though Roma women, Polish political prisoners, and Soviet prisoners of war were also among the victims. Many were selected because they were young and physically strong enough to endure prolonged suffering, while others were chosen for specific physical traits, such as unusual eye colors. Despite enduring unimaginable suffering, some survivors of Block 10 lived to share their stories. Among them was Marie-Claude Vaillant-Couturier, a member of the French resistance, who later testified at the Nuremberg trials. Her haunting words captured the horror she witnessed. She described seeing things that no human being should ever have to see. Another survivor, Vera Alexander, a Romanian Jewish woman, spoke about her ordeal in a 1994 interview with the USC Shoah Foundation. She recalled being taken to Block 10 and given injections that left her gravely ill, suffering from high fever and intense abdominal pain, so severe that she could not sleep. As Soviet forces advanced toward Auschwitz in January 1945, the Nazis attempted to conceal evidence of their crimes. They hurriedly executed many remaining prisoners and destroyed documentation. When the Red Army liberated the camp on January 27, 1945, they encountered a horrifying scene: piles of corpses and emaciated survivors barely clinging to life. One Soviet soldier, Ivan Oskin, later described seeing people who were starved, tortured, and utterly destitute, yet visibly relieved to be freed from what he described as a living hell. Another site of immense suffering within Auschwitz was Block 11, often referred to as the Death Block. Operating within the same camp system, this building became synonymous with terror and brutality. Its walls bore witness to some of the most horrific acts carried out during the Holocaust, forever marked by the pain and suffering of its victims. Block 11 served as a place of punishment, interrogation, and execution. Prisoners were subjected to harsh questioning, torture, and often summary execution. Originally known as Block 13, before a renumbering system was introduced, it housed the Camp Gestapo, the political department, and prison cells in its basement. Above the camp entrance, the phrase "Arbeit macht frei," work sets you free, stood as a cruel deception. As for many prisoners, the only escape from Block 11 was death. The basement of Block 11 was a maze of suffering, consisting of narrow corridors lined with cells of varying sizes. One of the largest, measuring 7.8 by 3.8 meters, was known as a standing cell. It could hold up to 120 prisoners who were forced to stand all night in total darkness due to lack of space. Smaller cells, measuring just 1.5 by 1.5 meters, were used for solitary confinement. Prisoners were often locked inside without clothing, food, or water for days. Some suffocated due to overcrowding, while others lost their sanity from the relentless isolation and abuse. One of the most infamous rooms in Block 11 was Cell 22, known as the starvation cell. Prisoners placed there were left to die slowly, without food or water. In September 1941, a group of Soviet prisoners of war, including men named Dubinin, Nevai, Nikiforov, and Seleznyov, were locked inside. When the cell was reopened weeks later, only 4 of the original 74 men were still alive, surrounded by the bodies of their fallen comrades. This cell was often used to punish escape attempts or acts of resistance. Adjacent to Block 11 was a courtyard that served as an execution site, where thousands of prisoners were shot against what became known as the Death Wall. The first recorded executions there took place on November 11, 1941, when 151 prisoners were killed. Among those associated with Block 11 was Father Maximilian Kolbe, a Polish priest who voluntarily took the place of another condemned prisoner. His act of self-sacrifice became a powerful symbol of compassion amid cruelty. His final message to fellow prisoners emphasized that hatred destroys, while love creates. He was later canonized by the Catholic Church. Auschwitz survivor Stanislav Golick described the horrifying atmosphere of Block 11 in his memoir 5 Years in Auschwitz. He recalled the agonizing screams and cries of tortured prisoners, mixed with the brutal shouting of their captors. To him, it was nothing less than a living hell, one visible through the small, barred windows of the cells. Gruck himself was imprisoned in Block 11, where he suffered repeated beatings and brutal torture inflicted by SS guards. He recalled one especially cruel guard named Guard Palak, infamous for his sadistic behavior toward prisoners. According to Gruck, Palak had a bulldog-like face and was constantly smiling, but it was a chilling kind of smile, one that sent fear coursing through anyone who saw it. Whenever he smiled, it signaled that something horrific was about to unfold. The walls of Block 11 stood as silent witnesses to unimaginable cruelty carried out against inmates. Another survivor, Josef Mengele, described the savage methods used by the SS. Prisoners were struck with rifle butts, kicked relentlessly, and attacked by dogs. At times, they were suspended by their arms, which had been bound behind their backs, then doused with cold water and left hanging in agony for hours. Mengele himself endured numerous interrogations inside Block 11. Though his body was broken by the abuse, his spirit remained unshaken. He later reflected that his determination to survive and to bear witness to the atrocities committed there gave him the strength to endure even the darkest moments. Block 11 was also deeply connected to acts of resistance within the camp. In September 1944, a group of Sonderkommando prisoners, forced to work in the gas chambers and crematoria, launched an uprising. They succeeded in destroying crematorium for using explosives that had been secretly smuggled into the camp by female prisoners working in a nearby munitions factory. The SS responded with extreme brutality, crushing the revolt and executing 451 Sonderkommando prisoners in the courtyard of Block 11 as a warning to others. Among those killed was Zalman Gradowski, a Polish Jew who had secretly documented the horrors of the gas chambers. Before his death, he buried his writings in the ashes of the crematorium, hoping they would one day be discovered and serve as evidence of Nazi crimes.